Hi everyone, this is Amanda Ng from Smartcat. I think, let's see, we have 28 people now. We're just going to start in a little bit. I want to see if anyone else will attend. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, so I think I'm just going to get started. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Again, my name is Amanda Ng and I am a senior vendor manager here at Smartcat. So in today's webinar, I'll be going over ways to help you guys get more clients with your Smartcat account. So for those of you who are a Smartcat user, that one is a freelancer working in Smartcat for your own projects, or you have a Smartcat profile to find more jobs, or you work within a corporate Smartcat account for a client, I think that you'll find this webinar to be helpful, well, hopefully. And then for those of you who don't fit in those categories and you're just here to learn, that's also great. Okay, so the first thing that users will see is your Smartcat profile. This is your storefront. You are providing a service, which is also a business. So you can think about your profile as if it was a storefront. The first thing that customers will see when they walk in the door of a store, and in this case, when they browse through the Smartcat marketplace. So what does this mean? This means that your profile is the most important asset that you have to make a good first impression. So I would suggest treat it like your CV, your resume, and your interview process as if you were applying to a job. So the least you can do is actually fill out your profile to at least 90%. From our data and our experience, users that fill in over 90% of their profiles will get twice the amount of invites to jobs. I actually recently asked a client who was looking for a very particular set of freelancers, and he had told me that beyond the basics of your rating, your reviews, your credentials, he generally looks for the amount of words translated and how active you are on a platform because users can see the last time you had logged into your profile. Um, so I'd suggest just logging in occasionally to your profile so that they can see that you are an active user. You aren't someone that has created their profile years ago and now aren't an active user. If you also don't at least have the basics filled out, so your services, the language pairs that you service, the subject areas that you cover, your rates, your work experience, he generally said that if that's not filled out in your profile, they won't consider you. So clients browsing profiles are going to make quick judgments. And again, I would treat it like your CV. So whatever you have in your CV, put that in your profile. And in my opinion, there isn't such thing as too much information. So the more detailed you are, the better. And I'll go through a demo later in this webinar of how to fill out your profile and some suggestions that I have. So for those of you that are starting off in the marketplace like Smartcat, sometimes you'll see other users setting lower rates than what you would personally set or vice versa. So you're not sure what rate to set because someone else is doing something different. I would suggest doing a bit of research before deciding on a rate. Most of you already know your own value and your rates, the ones that you'll accept for certain projects. But for those of you that don't, think about how much effort you're willing to put in projects, in your work. Your availability, so the capacity of work that you can take on to complete a project, and then how much you want to be making from just freelancing and translating. So to help out, we actually have a blog post on our blog about setting translation rates, which includes a handy guide that's shown here to help you indicate an average rate for general translation. And just because some other translator has a higher or lower rate or different rate than you won't necessarily mean that you won't be considered by clients. Clients do have a set budget, but depending on certain credentials, your reviews, or even our experience working with you, that's not the only thing that they look at, and sometimes are willing to adjust those rates depending on their project or what they have. And I just had a client that was looking for, it was a pretty rare language pair, kind of a difficult one at a very low rate. And we had told them up front that it was a little low for that particular language pair. So what we did was actually found freelancers from our marketplace with the exact credentials for what they were looking for, and then spoke directly with those freelancers, regardless of what rate was listed on their profile, and then went back to the client to explain if this is what you're looking for, then this is how much it's going to cost in terms of the quality that you're looking for and the credentials. And they actually were able to speak to their team and adjust their budget after taking a look at the freelancers that we showed them. So whatever you put on your profile, I would just recommend an average rate for a general translation. And then as projects come in and you apply to jobs, you can make a personal decision on whether or not that value should be adjusted. The blog article that I mentioned, we'll send that link to the blog article in an email after this webinar, so you have access to that. Another important element of your profile is your rating and reviews. So users browsing the marketplace will definitely be looking for any indication of, one, the quality of your services, so your quality output of translation. Two, the experience working with you. And then three, just their overall experience with you. So they're going to try to gather that information from your rating and reviews. Any customer that you work with in the marketplace is prompted to leave a review after a project is completed. So once you complete your task within a project, feel free to send them a reminder after you complete that task. But they won't actually be able to leave a review once the entire project is completed, but just send that reminder, say like, hey, I completed this task. Would you mind leaving, or just like, would you mind leaving me a review after the project is completed? They will get that automatic reminder, but it's always nice to hear from you as well and to get a second reminder. So one thing, or a couple of things, be mindful of, one, how you treat your clients, also like how you communicate with them, and then the quality of work that you're delivering. That's going to impact your reviews and your ratings. So just think about those things in order to get a successful, like, positive review. And if you have any questions along the way, like while you're working on a task or a project, don't hesitate to reach out to the client. I've had a few instances recently where clients raised issues because they felt that quality wasn't what they expected, and then once I investigated the project, like after speaking to the freelancer, they would say, oh, they were unsure about maybe, I don't know, what gender form to use or the context of a certain word or something like that. But they never actually reached out to the client and asked directly. Clients won't necessarily know what questions you have or know what to explain unless you reach out and ask them. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. And you can actually do that through our chat system. If you have any questions on that as well, you can always ask our support team. And we have a couple help articles on how to use our chat function. And for those of you trying to get your first review, so this is kind of like a pro tip. If you try to get a past client to sign up for Smartcat and upload a project that you translated, and you can just repeat the translation, then you can have them leave a review afterwards, or maybe it's a client that's outside of Smartcat for a future project that you've sourced elsewhere. You can also try to get them to do the same thing. And this will also help you increase that word translated count that you'll see on the top of your profile. So this is probably why most of you are participating in this webinar, but how do you find jobs in Smartcat? For those of you that are unaware, we actually have a job board, and here's the link. So on this job board, we basically have a feature now in Smartcat for users when they're uploading projects to Smartcat to select to post those projects on the job board. So it's a simple like checkbox feature that they can select to post those projects if they don't have any current translators for their project and they're looking for some from our marketplace. They'll check that box off and that will get sent off to our vendor management team. And we'll just go through those to make sure they have enough details or like the basic details for like the project specifications, and we'll post those jobs on our job board. So make sure you subscribe to the job board and browse through those quite frequently. And you'll get an email and in-app notification anytime you're invited, but also like you are also free to apply to those jobs that are on the job board. There's also going to be a new job board feature that will be directly in Smartcat in the platform that will be released towards the end of September for all users. So towards the end of this month, you'll probably see a function of that. You'll receive a notification depending on what language pair you service and depending on your rates. But you have to have your language pair and your rates set on your profile in order to receive those notifications. So it's really, really important that you fill out those properties. So I know that some of you have asked about badging and what it means. So there are currently 3 badges on our platform: certified, tested, and course passed. Certified is the orange little badge that you see on some profiles, and that's administered by partners that have worked with freelancers in the past, and they'd like to recommend that freelancer. Tested means that you've taken a test created by a client through applying through our job board. Course passed is a special program for taking a certified course, such as a test course that we had facilitated in the past for MT post editing. So for those that had enrolled in that course, and had passed that, they were given this course passed badge. Okay, So this actually leads us into a new validation program that we are launching next month. And there should be a poll that's being posted right now. We'll be reaching out to all Smartcat Marketplace freelancers to participate in this program. So if you opt into the program, you will take a standardized test in whatever particular language pair that you service and subject. And our validation team will go over and validate your test. So if you pass this test, you'll be awarded a Smartcat Validation certification, which will be reflected on your profile, and your profile will be kept in a pool of Smartcat validated freelancers so that if clients come to us, we can recommend your profiles to clients who sign up for vendor management. So that's another way to prove your certification and your credentials, and for us to know kind of the freelancers that are in our marketplace and that go through this validation. We can make, we basically will make recommendations to the validated freelancers for any client that comes to us. Because this is a new program, we want to know how much you would be willing to pay to participate in the program to be Smartcat validated. So if you could just fill out that poll, that'd be great. And also, if you're just interested, I will provide contact information at the end of this webinar, and you can reach out directly to me and tell me or let me know that if you're interested or not. And I will keep you on the list to reach out to participate in this program. Okay. So now I'm going to just go through an example of a profile. This is just something that I created. So this profile is currently not public just because it's a demo account. But I just want to go through this and make a couple suggestions. So you see the first thing is your picture and your name. And so picture just makes it more personalized. So if you can just upload a picture of yourself, it just adds more personal effect because, I mean, you are working directly with other humans. So sometimes it's good to make that personal connection. You'll see the rating for quality and the rating for compliance with deadlines. The word count, so the words translated, and then projects completed on the platform, and then just the number of views that your rating is based out of. And then the next section would be your translation services. So what translation services and language pairs, subjects, what are your rates? What do you provide? This is just basic information to let users know what you can translate in and exactly what translation service that you provide and what subject areas and what rates. So, I mean, in terms of filtering in the marketplace, you have to have these filled out in order for users to actually find you. So that's definitely the first thing that you should fill out and make sure that it's filled out completely. So here you'll see that there are different dialects in Spanish that this particular freelancer services. So also specifying different dialects if that pertains to you. The next section would be the reviews that customers have left. And in the reviews, customers are able to leave just a short little comment. It'll say their name, what company they're from, what translation service that you had provided for them, the language pair, and the subject that you had worked on. Sometimes clients will forget to select this. So when you send that reminder after you have completed a task, I'll just let them know. Please, if you could fill out the language pair and the subject, that'd be great, and that'd be reflected on my profile for future opportunities. The next section would be your personal details. So location indicates where you're based, so what time zone. So often, sometimes clients will try to see whether or not, sometimes if it's an urgent turnaround, they'll see, okay, this person is either in a different time zone so they can actually work on this while I'm sleeping, or if they want someone within their time zone for another project. You'll see what your native language is, um, your work experience. This number is actually based on this bottom section. So if you fill out basically all your translation work experience, it'll auto calculate this number. So make sure to include everything. And then there's a section for that. It's a free form that you can write about yourself. Here, I would suggest just adding more of a brief summary about yourself. So language pairs that you service, just past experience. This part's pretty general. So this freelancer has worked in finance, marketing, government, and agriculture. She has a passion for environment. So kind of expressing a little bit of personal interest, what she studied in college, and then how she works. I work efficiently by effective communication and work well with others to help accomplish their projects and company goals. If there's something that isn't listed in my profile, but a project that you have that needs Spanish translation, please reach out to me. I'd be more than willing to let you know if I have that experience. So if you're open to just like other projects, just leaving a note in your about me tends to be very helpful. And then I've also found that profiles that actually list word count and a general idea of what project they had worked on is extremely helpful. We'll get clients that say, for example, we had someone that asked whether or not the the translators that we had sourced had either like personal experience in winter sports, like winter activity sports, or experience translating winter sport activities. So even if you had that personal experience, that's what they were looking for. Um, and here, if you are able to list out like a word count for past projects, I know that sometimes they are confidential and you're under an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, so you're not allowed to say exactly what you worked on, but just a general idea that you can provide and how many words that you translated is really helpful. Clients want to see kind of the exact, they want to see past experiences for a future project, and that's what they're looking for in your profiles. So it's a lot easier if you just have it on your profile, because if they're able to just see that right away, they're going to invite you to that project. And then here I just think this freelancer I'd also included just personal interest in case it was related to any project. Also indicating your education. So if you had studied anywhere, what you had studied is really helpful. Sometimes there are pretty specific credentials on higher education. And so if they're looking for someone with past experience, at least a bachelor's in economics or agronomy, they're going to see that here. And then your work experience. So this is going to tell them where you've worked in the past and what you've actually worked on. And so I know that there's a word limit here in your about me. So if you're able to actually get this information and put it in the relevant work experience in here, that's actually very helpful. And just giving a little bit more detail on the exact content that you have worked on. So even though this translator had worked in an Ogilvy, which is an advertising agency, she still did copywriting that included bilingual content in English and Spanish. So specifying that, not don't leave this part blank. Add some more detail to the actual positions that you held and at the companies that you held. That'll give a good indication to users browsing your profile of what past experiences that you have. Like in any job that you're applying to, a hiring manager is going to look at your past experiences and if there are any transferable skills or if you've actually had that role in the past. So last section is your portfolio. So this obviously is where you can upload past work. I know that some of you that I've talked to say, I'm under an NDA, I can't upload past translation. But what you can do is just a suggestion, just like in your free time, take some article that you've read and translate it. That could be an example of work. And then also here, because you're allowed to upload actual files, I would upload any certification that you've gotten. That you've received in the past. Even if it's really old, I would still upload it here so that clients can see. And then looking at your CV and basically taking information from your CV and popping it into your profile. So your profile should pretty much work exactly as your CV with a little more information. Okay, so I believe this now leaves us up to our Q&A session. So for everyone, let's see. Okay, so there should be a section where you can leave questions, and I can take the time right now to answer any questions that you have. So if you type your questions in, I can filter through and see and answer any questions. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's one question I see. Could you tell us about notifications? I couldn't get any until now. So if you have, so you should get notifications if you have filled out your language pair and your rates. And so you should get an email notification and an in-app notification. If you're not receiving those notifications from the job board, then I would reach out to support. And since you're part of this webinar, you can also just include, and I can help you out with that because that should be automatic. Okay. I'm gonna actually try to I'm gonna actually try to unmute this so you guys can actually speak. So if you have any questions, you can actually, you're all unmuted now, so.
Okay.
I think Abel, your mic is on. Do you have a question?
I have a question here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. I typed one question. Actually, I have been translating for a couple of years, but I haven't gotten any certification. I wonder what can I do instead of this. I have some friends and translators too, and they have their own certifications, and they have helped me. But in case of my profile, I cannot say, well, I have a certification here or there. Is there anything I can do?
Yeah, so we're actually launching, so I mentioned earlier, we're launching this new program. Right now it's in its pilot stage. Um, Basically, it'll be a Smartcat validation that you can participate in. So you'll take a standardized test that we've asked some industry experts and some industry veterans and also Smartcat colleagues to kind of put together. And what will happen is you'll take a test in a specific language pair and specific subject, and then that test will be validated through our validation team. And then if you pass that certification, that'll actually be reflected on your Smartcat profile.
All right. Thank you. I think.
Yes. Yeah. So after this webinar, what you can do, at, I'll share like my email. So if you're interested and if anyone is interested, you can just reach out to me directly and let me know, and we can get you on the list of people who would like to participate.
All right.
Okay. And then I also see another question from Alexi. He said, how do you deal with dumping or low prices? Can SmartCat restrict access of underpayment offers? Um, so the thing is, for low priced projects, I mean, that does happen. What we try to do with clients is more often sometimes it's end customers who aren't necessarily within the industry. What we try to do is kind of educate them on what the average pricing would be. So in the situation that I explained, we had a client with that rare language pair, and immediately when they told us their rate for that language pair, we had told them, okay, like we understand you were working with a budget, but we are not going to be successful in finding you a quality translator or basically any translator because I don't, in that case, like no one really had applied with that rate, or no one we found would want to participate or work on that project with that rate. Um, so we tell them up front to kind of align expectations. They do have a set budget, so we understand that. But we do make them aware if it's too low, you're not going to find the right freelancer and you're not going to be happy with quality. Um, and so we can't necessarily restrict users, we can only inform them and educate them. Um, but you also are allowed to um, not accept invites. You'll get invites for projects. And how it's set is pretty much you get a notification for your language pair right now. With the new feature, it'll be it'll be dependent on your language pair, and if you set a rate, but it won't restrict you in terms of if you set a specific rate because we want to make sure that you get all the opportunities that are available. You can always just ignore or not accept invitations to projects where you don't think the rate is, I guess, reasonable for you in that case. Okay. And then let's see. Is there anyone else? Oh, I see more questions. Okay. So for anyone who would like me to personally check your profile, what I can do is I mean, I can't do it right now, but if you, once I share my email, if you reach out to me directly, I can go over and make some suggestions for you. Um, So that's kind of open to everyone after this webinar. Okay, so, okay. This question from Louise. Hi, I would like to know if there are any differences about the jobs available in different servers. Um, so there are no differences for all the jobs that are available. Um, basically anyone on any server can invite anyone, and they're open to everyone on the marketplace. So there are no differences. Okay. This one asks about notifications via SMS. So that's something that I think like in for a product, in terms of something that we have maybe like in the future. I'm not sure what exactly product has in mind, but we are with this new job feature that's going to release at the end of the month. We're trying to figure out the best ways of notifying freelancers um, so that you can respond in the quickest way. Um, and so, I mean, if you have any like product feedback, that's also, we take that into consideration. It's just that in terms of like fitting in certain timelines, we can't implement things right away. So, but if you have any suggestions for how you would better receive notifications, or if you're having trouble receiving notification, um, then we can take that feedback as well. Okay. So another question, does Smartcat have an app for smartphones? Not yet, or not currently. I'm not sure if that is something that we're going to implement actually, because I'm not not on the product team, but I can also double check if that's something in the future. That would be helpful. I think it's a little tough with um, I guess in terms of like the tactile and having that on your phone. That's something that we probably have to look into, but currently we do not. Okay, so hi, you said that the notification is based on language pair and rate. Do you mean that if a freelancer's rate is too high, then he or she might not be invited to a project, although his or her rate is negotiable? Please elaborate more. Okay, um, so um, so the notification is only based on um, with this new feature, it's based on if you've filled out your language pair and rate. So if you've filled out a rate that's too high or too low, it won't, it'll still send a notification to you. You just have to make sure it is on your profile. Um, so hopefully that was clear. And then currently with the job board, um, what we do now is pretty much any job that is posted, you should be getting an email notification for when that job is posted if you have indicated that specific language pair. So say we posted something in English to Spanish, then you should be receiving, if you filled this out in your profile, if you said that your in your services that you service English to Spanish, then you should be receiving that email notification when that job is posted. Um, okay, so what are the advantages of Smartcat compared to another platform? For us freelancers, why should we put our profile here? So one of the advantages of being on Smartcat and being part of a marketplace like this is that Smartcat isn't only a marketplace. So the idea is that we are a connected translation. So we're an end-to-end software solution for all of your translation management. So for clients, they see the value because in terms of their execution and their translation process, they can pretty much use Smartcat in every step of the way. Um, so the draw as a freelancer is that um, for clients are that you could potentially um, get jobs from, they see the value in kind of this end-to-end solution. So it's a lot easier to kind of work from one uniform platform than having multiple different tools that you have to work with. So trying to decide on where to source your freelancers, how to project manage, what tools to provide your freelancers, and then how to pay them out. And then vice versa, as a freelancer, you can also get jobs invited from the marketplace, work inside Smartcat, and then also get paid out in Smartcat. Okay, is there any provision to provide feedback on clients do, if someone doesn't pay me in time? So in any cases where clients are not paying you in time, you can always reach out to our support team or our vendor management team in order to get your payment. I mean, I know that that's a universal issue, but also we do. So I know that there has been some comments where um, clients are able to leave reviews on you, but you aren't necessarily able to leave a review on a client. But we actually internally have our own review system, and I think that later down the line, that's something that we definitely will implement in terms of freelancer feedback because that's also important. So providing feedback to clients, just because like your reviews are public as well. So what we're kind of thinking is implementing like a comment feature. So once someone leaves a review, uh, opening up the capability of a freelancer being able to comment back on the review because there's always two sides to the story. And right now we understand that in terms of reviews, it's a little one-sided. But anytime you have payment issues, please reach out to the support or vendor management team, and we can help you get paid for your work. So it's kind of similar question, is Smartcat safe for not dealing with deceivers? How can I warrant my dues after completing the job? Um, yeah, so in terms of payment, any payment issues that you're facing, you can reach out to support directly or a vendor management team, and we'll take care of you. Okay, where can I get more information about obtaining badges? So there should be a few help articles that we have in our help section about badging and how to get badges. One easy way is if we're able to look on our job board for any job that requires a test, you can easily get that tested badge if you pass the test. So again, just browsing through our job board for tested projects. And then also, in addition, as I mentioned, this new validation program that we're launching, you'll receive like a similar version to a badge, and your profile will be highlighted so that users who are browsing the marketplace can easily see. I wish I had a like a screenshot or demo to show you, but they can easily see how you are Smartcat validated, and it'll be distinguished in the marketplace. Okay, so this one, hi, I've seen project invitations in my chat for which I haven't received email notifications, and that has happened quite frequently. Okay, um, so I'd have to look into that more, but if you actually reach out to me directly after this webinar, if you're having any notification issues, um, you can always reach out to support, but just reach out to me directly after this webinar and I can kind of just look into what's happening there because you should be getting, if you're getting chat notifications, and you should be getting email notifications as well. It might be in your settings as well, but I can take a look into that. Okay, so I've accepted job invitations on Smartcat, but later received a message from the client that the invitation was canceled. I would like to know the reason for the cancellation as the client does not state. Um, so sometimes what'll happen is clients will basically invite a couple freelancers. I think I mean, it might be a couple of different things. So one situation that I've seen is they aren't necessarily aware of what rocket mode is. So what they'll do is when they are assigning a project, they'll put it in rocket mode and then send it out, but not necessarily know that with rocket mode, and I don't know if all of you are aware as well, but with rocket mode, the first person who replies gets assigned that task. And so some clients aren't aware that that's on or it was a mistake. Um, so that's sometimes why there's a cancellation, or if they actually don't know that that feature exists, what they'll do is invite a couple freelancers and then cancel. So there could be like various different reasons. I don't think it's necessarily personal. I think it's more that they're in a rush and they're trying to find someone, and if you don't reply within like 5 seconds, uh, as you know, like people are really impatient. They'll just try to find someone else. Um, but I know that in terms of like responding, that can be difficult sometimes if you're in a different time zone. But just like being on top of your notifications. But also, if you have any notification issues, please let us know or please let me know because we don't want it to be because you're not receiving notifications that you should be getting. So if I go into another country, do I need to change my location or not? Because currencies are changing also, and I need to change payment method, bank card, for example. Um, so you don't necessarily need to, like, it depends on how long you're there. The location is more for indicating like your time zone and where you're based so that clients know and what availability you'll be able to work. The assumption is that you work during the day. I know that some of you work overnight, um, but in terms of payment method, that can just be set in that would be separate from the location that you set in your profile. Um, and so it just depends on your case. If you just travel a lot, I would just pick a home base that where you like generally would the hours that you want to work. Um, and so, but if you're a person who I guess like is based like a nomad, you're kind of based in different locations for like 3 to 6 months at a time, then maybe I would change your location. But it's not completely necessary. Okay, and then I just see this one question. Please, does the phrase customer price mean while setting my rate? While setting my services price in translation. So the customer price is so basically um, when they assign you a task in a project, and they want to negotiate a rate, um, what they'll do is add you to their team in Smartcat, and they're able to go into your profile and set a particular rate for that project. Um, and I believe like that's what that should mean. If you give me like a particular case, um, I can look into that after this call. But if you I believe that's what you're referring to. But that's one way that they will negotiate rates is that they can, once they add you to your team for a particular project, when they assign you a task, they can set a different rate from what's on your profile. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? I think I tried to go through all the ones in the chat. No? Any more questions? Okay, well, as I promised, let me just. Okay, so if you guys have any other additional questions, here's my email, a.ng@smartcat.ai. So you can feel free to contact me with any questions, comments, certain situations that you have, or if you'd like me to look at your profile and make suggestions. I'd be more than happy to do that, and you can just reach out to me directly. And also, if you are interested in the Smartcat validation program and would like to participate, or you just want to know more information, please reach out to me. So I can just leave this up for a little bit. Um, but I want to thank you so much for everyone who joined. I think there should be a recording that is sent to you after this webinar concludes of the webinar. And also, the email will be sent out tomorrow. And so also with all the links that I shared, the blog posts, that'll also be sent to you in that email tomorrow. Um, and you will you will also see the results of all the surveys from the webinar right after we close this session. So again, thank you so much for everyone who joined. And again, please feel free to reach out to me. Okay, bye everyone.